everyone, we're going to prove these derivatives and what the derivatives of these trigonometric functions equal. We're going to be using the quotient rule, and we're going to write all of our trig functions in terms of cosine of x and sine of x. Now, we need to know those derivatives, and we're going to use the quotient rule. So, given here. So I'm going to rewrite tan in terms of sine and cosine. So this is just going to equal derivative with respect to x of sine of x cosine of x. Now I'm going to let sine of x equals my f function and cosine of x equals my g function. So when you write this out, you're going to get cosine of x, I'm using my g, times the derivative of sine of x, and then you use your minus sign, and we're going to write sine of x, that's our f function, times the derivative of cosine of x. And then we're dividing by our g. So that's going to be cosine squared of x, because you square the g of x. Now simplifying this, we're going to get this equals cosine of x. Now the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x minus sine of x, and the derivative of cosine of x is negative sine of x, divided by cosine squared of x. So this is going to give us cosine squared of x plus sine squared of x, divided by cosine squared of x, which equals 1 divided by cosine squared of x, which equals secant squared x, based off our identities. So there's the first one, and that's the goal. And the other ones follow suit, so you might want to try them on your own. So the first thing I'm going to do with this one is write it as cosecant of x equals 1 divided by sine of x. Then I'm going to use the quotient rule. So we have the derivative with respect to x of 1 divided by sine of x. And then you just use your formula. So we're going to get sine of x. So we get, g is going to be sine of x. And f of x is going to equal 1. The derivative of 1 is just 0. So when we write this out, we're going to get sine of x, which is g of x, times the derivative of 1, which is just 0, minus f of x times the derivative of sine of x. The derivative of sine of x is cosine of x. And then you divide this by sine squared of x, your g. So this is going to equal, this is just 0. So you get sine of x, you get negative cosine of x divided by sine squared of x. Now, when you're trying to prove something, you always kind of look at see what we have. So I can write this, I can put a 1 here and split this up. So this would be negative 1 divided by sine of x times cosine of x times sine of x. So I'm just expanding this, and this is going to give you your negative, this is negative cosecant of x, and this is going to be cotan of x. All right, and we do the same thing for the next one. We're going to write this as the derivative with respect to x of 1 over cosine of x. So I'm going to let my f of x equal 1 and my g of x equal cosine of x. So write this out. You're going to get your g of x, write that first. And then the derivative of 1 is just 0. Minus 1 times the derivative of cosine of x. Derivative of cosine of x is negative sine of x. All divided by cosine squared of x, because that's your g. All right, so this is going to equal, that's 0. So you get sine of x, there's two negatives here, divided by cosine squared of x. Now again, I'm going to put a 1 in front of here and split this up, because we can split this up because we're trying to make it look like that. So we're going to get this equals, I don't know what I did there, so that's square. So basically you get 1 divided by cosine squared of x times sine x divided by cosine x. And this should just be like that. And so that's going to give you your secant x. This equals secant x. And this is your tan of x. And that's it on that one. And one more. I'm going to write this as the derivative with respect to x. And rewrite this as cosine of x divided by sine of x. When I do that, I'm going to let my f of x equal cosine of x, and my g of x equals sine of x. And then just fill out this formula. We're going to write the g first, so that's going to be sine of x times the derivative of cosine of x. So the derivative of cosine of x is negative sine of x. All right, and then minus your f of x, which is cosine of x, and we can do this if we want, the derivative of sine of x, which is cosine of x, all divided by your g of x, which is sine squared of x. You got to square the denominator. Okay, now let's clean this up, and we're going to get this equals, you multiply these two, we're going to get negative sine squared of x minus cosine squared of x. And that's going to be, if I want to rewrite this sine squared of x, I'm going to pull out this negative. So I'm going to have negative sine squared of x. I'm factoring out a negative 1 plus cosine squared of x divided by sine squared of x. So this equals 1. So what we get is this is negative 1 divided by sine squared of x. And that's going to equal negative cosecant squared of x. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.